Welcome to ACD Combatives, your combatives and control tactics channel. Please like, subscribe, and share. Alright guys, this is Coach Kurt. I'm going to do a quick video about Taser deployment and tactical ways of deploying the Taser and incorporating it with your control tactics, your other tools like your baton or your pepper spray or your combatives striking. These are all things that I'm trying to make you aware of for field use. The problem is so many officers, they pull their Taser and they think that's the end all be all and it works all the time. And I'm here to tell you that it doesn't work all the time. That is sometimes, it's quite often, in my experience, it doesn't work, or it requires something, a follow-up action, like having to handcuff somebody, for example. A lot of officers, because of their Taser training and the training that they got in the academy, they deploy their Taser, and the bad guy rides it for 5 seconds, and the person goes down, and then they fight again. So you make them ride the lightning again, and they're kicking and rolling and popping, and I'm going to put you in handcuffs. Are you going to cooperate? No. They make them ride it again and again and again, and you get the idea. And I might cut some video in so you see what I'm talking about.
We must dance! Oh! Oh my God! You shot my son! Halt! Your son has merely been stunned by a less than lethal weapon. Oh! Remain calm. 50,000 volts of electricity are now passing into your skeletal muscle tissue. Your central nervous system has been incapacitated, but you will regain motor functions momentarily. Oh.
That's not what you want to do. You want to, and this is my own personal X26. I don't know if I mentioned that. Their X26 is what I started with when I started in law enforcement. Then my agency several years later went to the X26P or the 26P, which is basically, for all intents and purposes, the same as the X26, but on steroids. It's bigger, stronger, thicker, has better software. It's a better tool, but it operates pretty much the same, and it takes the same cartridges, which is why so many departments switch to it. And Taser's pretty much going away from them. You can still see them for civilian purchase. They call it the X26C as in Charles for civilian, and it actually goes for 30 seconds. The concept is the civilian shoots the person with the Taser and runs away. They file a police report, and Taser will actually, last time I heard, replace their 26C Charles model as long as they have a police report saying they had to use it in self-defense, and they drop it and run away. That's the whole concept. Different for law enforcement. Hey, sir, you're under arrest. You have a warrant. And he's like, screw you. And he comes at you, pop, you shoot him with the Taser. Now what? Or you shoot him with the Taser and only one dart hits. And let's talk about that for a second. With the new Taser 7, because my agencies just went to the Taser 7, the officers are going to see some differences. And it's important that I make those differences public. The flashlight is much brighter on the Taser 7. It's a bigger tool. It's about the same size as the 26P. And I'll cut in some pictures of the Taser 7. It's about the same size, but the flashlight's much brighter. You still shouldn't be using it as your sole flashlight. You should have other flashlights on your body as part of your patrol tools. It has two lasers. The top laser is green. As you can see on this one, it's just a red laser. And the bottom laser is red, and it's blinking, and that's going to indicate where the two darts are going to hit.
So I have one simple request, and that is to have sharks with frickin' laser beams attached to their heads.
And it's much more accurate than the older Tasers, the X26 and the 26P. It's much more accurate. The bottom dart is going to show you where the lower one's going to hit. And it's good because you can cant it, like I say, a dog, and you're going to tase a dog that's charging your partner or something. You would cant it, and then you would see both lasers on target, and so you'll see more accuracy that way. It's an all-around better tool. But, and since we're talking to Taser 7, it has the ability to have a long-range and a short-range cartridge. My agency opted out of that option. They have two long-range cartridges, and I think that's a mistake. I would have loved to have had the ability to cant the tool, the laser, or I'm sorry, the taser, and it mechanically switches cartridges. And again, it's a totally different looking cartridge. Again, I'll throw some pictures in. But for all intents and purposes, we're talking about the taser as it would be used on patrol. So you've got the bad guy, you pull your taser out, taser, 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 and see how I got a nice spread. I've got one just left of his growing and one under the nipple line or the diaphragm line. This is kind of what you're aiming for. The green area on this target is what you're aiming for. Yellow, it's not that you can't hit them in the yellow, it's just Taser wants you to avoid these sensitive regions. The face is obvious. You shoot somebody in the eye and you're going to be taking them to the hospital. Follow your agency's policy. Hit them in the groin, you're going to wait for the EMTs or take them to the hospital. Again, it's not that you can't hit them in the chest, it's just they want you to try to avoid it, to avoid any possibilities of pacemaker or cardiac issues. That's why the taser is best used when you shoot somebody in the back with the taser, because it's the strongest, biggest muscle groups on the human body are the backs, and of course the legs. So that's what you're aiming for. And when you drive stun, same difference. You're going to be, like I say, you got one dart that deployed successfully and the other one missed. Then you're going to connect the stunning, the arc, by drive stunning, by leaving the cartridge on. But we'll talk more about that stuff later. So let me load some new cartridges. So again, the advantage of the Taser 7 over the X26 or the 26P is that I could pop off one cartridge, and then if I need to, I could pull the trigger again, and a second cartridge would deploy. It's 2-in-1, and that's the advantage. That's one of the major advantages of Taser 7. I wouldn't have to pop this off, pull the lower one off, or if you have one in your pocket, or a lot of times people don't even carry a second cartridge and go from there. So it's quicker. Taser, the X26 and the 26P aren't as advanced in that regard. But again, they're perfectly good tools. The 26P, the X26 is getting out of favor because it's just getting old. And it's not as stable of a platform. I've seen these destroyed in the field. They, quit because of getting wet. They're just not as good. And Taser knew that, and that's why they basically came out with the 26P. It was basically, again, the same tool, but on steroids. It was bigger, stronger, better, faster. The bionic Taser, basically, or the bionic version of the X26. So, when you're using your Taser, just like what I've mentioned in other videos, just like firearms, you're going to shoot, move, communicate. I'm going to have my Taser on somebody. I'm going to sidestep and move if I have to. If I can get something between me and the bad guy, that's awesome. Make him trip over a couch, make him trip over a curb, go around the front of my car, what have you. These are the same tactics you're going to use in firearms. If you can slow down the advance of the bad guy. If you are, let's say, the bad guy has a knife or a stick or what have you. You see this in videos all the time. People go, why didn't you tase him? Why did you have to shoot him? A lot of times it's a single officer, and you would never depend on your Taser alone without lethal cover. Let me repeat that. Never depend on your Taser alone without lethal cover if the bad guy has the ability to kill you dead. If he's got a stick in his hand, he's got a rock, he's got a knife, he's got a pipe, what have you, and you're trying to use this as a less than lethal option against a lethal option, you better be deploying it with a lot of common sense. Have another officer with lethal cover. He's got his firearm out. That way, if and when this thing fails, he can save your bacon with the firearm.
Drop it now! Drop the knife! Drop the knife now! 10:33. Drop it! Get back. Back up. Put it down. Put the knife down. Put it down. Put the knife down. Put it down. Put the knife down. Put the knife down.
Maybe I could be a killer when I'm not.
Drop the knife. Drop the knife.
Drop the knife.
Drop the knife now. Drop the knife.
God damn it! So you're all kidnapping me?
You also want to be a moving target. Again, don't be just always standing in front of the bad guy. Move using something as cover. Same thing as firearms. Shoot, move, communicate. If you're not moving, you're dying. That's the same thing you learn in the military. It's the same thing you're going to use with Taser, same thing you use with firearms, baton, any tool, any weapon. Weaponless defense, using your hands, combatives, same concept. You boxers just don't sit there in front of somebody and box. Mike Tyson moved. He moved with amazing speed and precision. 1 minute he was in front of the bad guy or his opponent, the next minute he was beside him, behind him. Think like Mike Tyson. You're just hit and you're gonna move. With that in mind, Bob is a famous target for taser use. That's okay. Bob is conductive. Tasers are great against anything that's conductive. As it was explained to me by Taser, an instructor certified by Taser, that was instructor teaching the instructors. He said, Bob is fine. You can shoot Bob. This is my personal Bob. I don't like shooting with my Taser. But if your agency has a lot of Bobs, that's a perfectly good tool to use. And it's also nice because if you do shoot Bob and it fails, or in the scenario it fails, or one of the prongs misses, you can, bam! I see how I grabbed my Taser, just like I use it if I had a firearm in my hand. I'm going to bring it into my workspace, and I'm going to strike. That's if he's coming to me. I should not have my Taser out to go close for hands-on. I will cut in a video where officer pulls out his Taser. This happened in Michigan. I've already broken down the video where he tries to deploy his Taser while he's close up and personal with the guy, and you hear the bad guy say, "Please don't do that," or something like that, and he grabs the Taser and has pretty much lost control of the subject. Out came the Taser, and it was ineffective. Bad guy's controlling it. If you're too close to somebody, if you're close enough to get booped on the nose, then you're too close for the Taser.
What?
And it turned into a situation where the officer ended up shooting the guy because the guy got a hold of his Taser. That's, in and of itself, if a bad guy gets hold of your Taser, disarms you, he can shoot you with your Taser and take your gun and kill you. Or he can shoot you with your Taser and smash your head in with a rock. You get the idea. So, in and of itself, without other issues to cloud what I'm trying to tell you, if somebody gets hold of your Taser, yes, you're obviously allowed to use lethal force if necessary. Is he running away from you with your Taser? Then he's not a threat to you anymore. If he's still trying to actively engage you with your Taser or kill you, obviously you can use your weapon to defend yourself. that's a different subject altogether. We're talking about integrating your taser with other tools. So, I have my taser, and I deploy it. Taser, taser, taser. And I get a good deployment. 3, 2, 1, boom. And the guy is down and he's cooperative. Great. Like, sir, stay on your stomach. Don't move or I will be forced to tase you again. You move around. You put him in handcuffs. The world is a beautiful place. Can you put your taser back in your holster with the wires? Yes, you can. I've had people tell me, well, they've touched it on accident and they felt shocked. I have too. It's not supposed to. These are supposed to be coated wires, but if they're flimsy, so if they get cracked in the process, you might get a little shocked. Close it up, secure your holster, move in. Don't worry about taking the cartridge off at that moment because you might have to use it again. That's a good deployment. You can hear it. Let me give you an example of a bad deployment. Let me take one of these darts out. Let's see if that did it. No, I think I got the wrong dart. Let me shoot them with a fresh dart. Let me break this one. Hear the difference? Bad deployment. This is a conductive target. So you heard it was really low. On that note, the Taser 7's way louder. The shock sound is way louder on the Taser 7, so it's much more intimidating. And the deployment, the pop, is way louder. That's important to remember that you call out dispatch 2057. I have Taser deployment. Other agencies have other people in the area, other officers, deputies, what have you, and they hear that super loud pop, very reminiscent of a firearm, louder than a standard Taser. Maybe they don't use the Taser 7 and they think a gun has been fired. It's very important to communicate Taser deployed. Suspect is down. Suspect is in custody. You're explaining the situation just like you would if you were in some kind of pursuit or what have you. So to recap, you should be carrying your Taser on the off side. I carry mine on a standard draw. You can carry it cross draw. I know a lot of the old timers carry it cross draw. That's fine. My agency's not forcing people to switch. You have to carry it by our agency policy. Most agencies do it this way. It has to be on your offside. Why? Because back in the day, so many officers had a drop holster below their standard holster, and that same repetitive motion from their firearm and Taser was identical, and that's dangerous. So again, I've got the target. Taser, taser, taser. I'm announcing to everybody in the vicinity that I'm going to be popping this dude with a taser. Taser, taser, taser. Good deployment. If I have to drive stun, then I'm going to run up. Let's say one of the darts didn't go in. We know what that sounds like. Let me break that contact so you hear that again. Woo! I felt some of that. Yeah, I'm feeling some arc. This broke or one of the darts didn't go in. I'm going to run up. And I'm going to see, can you hear the difference? Hear the difference, how I pull it away? The drive stun makes the second connection. It needs to be a good spread. You understand this. That's why the darts spread out. That's why it's so nice on the new Taser 7 that you have two lasers. Top one is green, bottom one is a flashing red, so you know which dart is hitting where. Super beneficial. Hey guys, so I'm going to wrap up this video, but since my agency just switched to the Taser 7, a big important part of the training is to emphasize to the officers to do a daily function check. And since I'm not allowed to use my own equipment on the channel, agency equipment, I found this on YouTube. It is a police officer, a training officer, in court demonstrating on the stand how to do a functions check with the Taser 7. I think you'll enjoy this.
I started out a while ago talking to you about the spark function test. Is that right?
A function test, yes.
And policy requiring that be done every shift.
Should be done, yes.
And is the button that you use for that depicted here on Exhibit 370?
Yes.
Labeled arc switch?
Yes.
All right. You can probably take that down. What I would like to have you do, Sergeant Peterson, and if you want to stand up and show the jury, walk us through the process of how a spark function test, would be done at the beginning of a shift for an officer with the Taser 7. And then I'm going to ask you to operate the spark function test. Now, can that be done safely here in the courtroom?
Yes.
And so if you could, like I said, just walk us through the process and show the jury how that's done.
Okay. It's going to depend on the day. If I'm just coming on to shift, I may have to get some equipment out of our armory and then assign it to myself. Once I have done that, I may holster it, or I may just go right into my spark test. So I carry my Taser on my left side. I'm going to draw it. As I draw it, I'm going to press both arc switches, one on the left side, one on the right side at the same time. It now illuminates my CAD, tells me that I'm in a function test mode. I can then turn on my Taser. My CAD has changed colors. I know that it's now in a function test mode, and now I simply press my arc switch again. It runs through a 5-second spark test. While it's doing that on the CAD, it's counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the duration of a cycle that we want somebody to end at. I check the status of it again, I disarm it, and I holster it.
I love paperwork, but this is crazy. There isn't even time to savor it.
Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out